Hello. This is a message for everyone out there who has outgrown their teenage years, particularly those of you who are parents. I would never use Under the Big Tree as a platform for a political point of view. This channel is meant to uplift, entertain, and educate. I talk about the things that I'm an expert in, music and audio production, and tabletop gaming. I want, in my own small way, to be a positive force in this world, helping out or putting a smile on the face of that small group of people who are interested in the same things that I am. But trying to affect the world in a positive way is exactly why I am now presenting this message. Today is February 16th, 2018, 2 days after the latest unimaginable school shooting in which 17 people, mostly children, have lost their lives at the hands of another child. It doesn't matter what day this is, because if you see this 6 months or a year from the day that I recorded it, the date, location, and body count will change, but the story will essentially be the same. A maniac with a legally purchased AR-15 assault rifle will have entered a public space and murdered dozens of innocent people who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Dozens more will be injured, and of course that pain ripples outward like the waves from an anvil dropped in a lake. The hundreds or thousands of family and friends whose lives are forever changed for the worse as the result of this horrific act. The politicians will cast their eyes downward, talk about how they and their wives are offering their thoughts and prayers to the families of the victims, and then nothing will change. Nothing. Do you remember being a teenager? Do you remember how those rampaging hormones and that partially developed frontal lobe combined with the ability to drive and the desire to be an adult before you were ready? I'll bet it caused you to do some incredibly stupid things. I certainly did. There was one time in high school where a group of us who were friends got into an argument about something stupid. It ended in my driving around the neighborhood at high speeds while the various factions pelted each other with eggs and shaving cream. Was it all in fun? Of course it was. But our complete lack of judgment resulted in the police showing up and my getting a very stern talking to by the sergeant in charge of juvenile cases. None of us ever did it again. What if instead of a small argument, it was a real fight? And what if instead of eggs and shaving cream, it was a weapon capable of turning a body inside out with a single round? Do you remember being a teenager? I think back now from my vantage point decades later with a son who just turned 13 and who is on the brink of being able to make decisions that can affect him and those around him for better and for worse. It is my responsibility and privilege to mold him into the finest young man I can make him, teaching through example to give back, to help those around us, and to live with kindness and good intentions at all times. I have an 8-year-old daughter who is the light of my life. I would walk in front of a bus to save her without the slightest hesitation. She has a radiance and good nature that brightens every room she walks into. She was born to be the most loving, kindest person I have ever seen, and I can't wait for her to grow up and spread that joy to some corner of this weary world. Do you have children? If you do, I'll bet you feel exactly the same way about them that I do about mine, and you should. They are the best and most important thing you will ever do in this life. And you want them to grow up to be kind, upstanding people with the highest integrity and moral principles. And so, we have to look at the mass insanity of a country that allows children to purchase semi-automatic assault rifles before they are old enough to drink. I understand that there is a tradition of gun ownership in this country, and the right to bear arms is written into Article 2 of the Constitution. But the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence states that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It certainly follows to me that someone's right to own a firearm does not allow them to use those firearms on other people, infringing on their rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Murdering a 6-year-old kindergartner at Sandy Hook infringes on the lives, liberties, and pursuits of happiness of that child and everyone that knew that child. How can an amendment to the Constitution be so all-powerful that it supersedes the first words of the document that founded our country? And how is it possible that teenagers can legally purchase and own a military-oriented weapon of such high power and lethality that its only viable use is to murder as many people as possible in as short a time as possible? How can this be? And so one simple truism emerges to me from all of this pain. Your right to own an assault rifle ends where my child's body begins. Your right to own an assault rifle ends where my child's body begins. Your right to own an assault rifle ends where my child's body begins. Please, if you love your children as much as I love mine, don't put your head in the sand, being outraged for a couple of days and then hoping this will go away. It won't. We have to work together as parents, adults, citizens, and patriots to ban the sale and possession of assault rifles in this country. I know the NRA is a powerful group and that they are fighting tooth and nail to stifle even the debate on gun control. But things can change. Look at what has happened in the arenas of women's rights, civil rights, and LGBT rights in the last 75 years. Now let's fight for children's rights, for them to have the right to go to school without being brutally murdered en masse. Keep your handguns, your rifles, your shotguns if you must, but let's civilize our society. Please help stop the insanity and work toward banning all civilian ownership of assault rifles in this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.